Hey everyone, welcome back to English Lessons with Guneet. In today's video, we're going to do the story with the photographer by Stephen Leacock. So before we start the story, let me give you a basic introduction to what the story is basically about. So the story is about a man who just wants to take a photograph. So for this thing, he goes to a photographer's studio. Over there, he meets with a man who judges him on the basis of his looks. So the story just revolves around how the person he spends time at the photographer's studio and how he finally gets his photo done. So before any further wait, let's start with our amazing story with the photographer by Stephen Leacock. I want my photograph done, I said. The photographer looked at me with enthusiasm. So, in this first line, that is, I want my photograph done, this is being said by the main protagonist that is there in the story. The name of the person has not been stated in the story, and the person is only narrating the story. And then, if we talk about the next line, it is that the photographer looked at me without enthusiasm. Means, usually when we enter a shop, the shopkeeper he looks at the customer with some enthusiasm because they want to do more and more of the sales. But if we talk about the photographer over here, he looked at his customer, that was the narrator, the person, without enthusiasm. Then he was a drooping man in a grey suit with the dim eye of a natural scientist, but there is no need to describe him. Everybody knows what a photographer looks is like. Then over here, if we talk about, the person, the narrator, he is stating how the physical appearance, like what all the photographer he is wearing, what all he looks like. So this is also important as it can come in the exam, that what was the look of the photographer. So it is, first is that he was a drooping man, first point. Second is that he was in a grey suit. And the third thing is that he was wearing a grey suit with the dim eye of a natural scientist. Means he was having a dim eye like the natural scientists they are having. So a natural scientist over here, this signifies a person who experiments with the objects. That person is known as a natural scientist. But there is no need to describe him. Means everybody knows the basic look of a photographer, that is a person who is just wearing, we can say, a kind of suit and having a camera in their hand or in their neck. They have like put over the camera over there, and that is the basic look we can say that the photographer has. Then sit there, he said, and wait. Now what was the reply of the person, and who is this he over here? This he is the photographer. So the photographer is saying to the person that you just sit over here and wait. Means the photographer might be busy, we can say, so that is why he said to wait. And so the person, he was very patient, so I waited for an hour. So what all did he do in that hour? So this is also an important thing, that for how much time did he wait? He waited for an hour. And what did he do? I read the Ladies Companion for 1912 first, and the Girls Magazine for 1902, and the Infants Journal for 1888. So these are the three things that the person read during the time that he was waiting for the photographer to come. I began to see that I had done an unwarrantable thing in breaking in on the privacy of this man's scientific pursuits with a face like mine. Now what feeling he was having, the narrator? He was having the feeling that he had done something unwarrantable. So unwarrantable, many students, they get confused with what the meaning it is there. So in simple words, unwarrantable means unacceptable thing. They mean to say that a thing which cannot be accepted. The person felt that he had done such a thing by coming to the photographer who was doing something important, and the person, he felt like that he had interfered in the privacy of that person. So breaking in means interfering. So the person feels like that he had done something unacceptable, something impossible, by coming into the, means something that was not acceptable to the photographer. So the person felt like that he had done such a thing by breaking into the, means interfering in the privacy of the man's scientific pursuits. Means he felt like he was busy in something in his own scientific pursuits, in experimenting something. So he felt like he had interfered in the man's privacy. With a face like mine means a person that looks like me. Next we have, After an hour, the photographer opened the inner door. Means now photographer was finally done with his personal affairs, and now he has said that after an hour, the photographer he finally opened the inner door in which he was there, and he said, "Come in." He said severely. Then I went into the studio. "Sit down," said the photographer. So as the photographer was saying, the person was following it. So he told him to come in. So the person came in. Then the photographer told him to sit down. The person sat down. Where did he sit down? He sat down in a beam of sunlight filtered through a sheet of factory cotton hung against a frosted sunlight. So this is, we can say a scientific technique, we can say, through which the light it was adjusted at the time. In the old times, you can say, when the photograph was taken. So a beam of sunlight, we can say some light was there, which was filtered through a sheet of factory cotton hung. So like factory cotton, we all can imagine how the cotton that is there, and it was filtered, means it was coming through, we can say that, so that the appropriate amount of sunlight that we need for the photograph, the light that we need, it can be like achieved. So that is why a sheet of factory cotton was hung against a frosted skylight. So from the frosted skylight the light was coming, and a sheet of factory cotton was hung against it, so that the appropriate amount of light can be achieved. That much they need to take the photograph. Then the photographer rolled a machine into the middle of the room and crawled into it from behind. So basically at those times the machines for taking the pictures, they were not so common as they are at these moments. As now, if we talk about, we can take normal photographs in our mobile phones also. And even if we go to the photographer's studio, their cameras are not so huge kind of, we can say, like the ones which used to be in the old times. So there was a huge machines, we can say. So such a machine, the photographer, he just rolled it into the middle of the room, and the photographer, they had to go inside a kind of usually black cloth that was put over, in which they used to go inside and click the photographs. So over here also, the man, he just crawled into it from behind. So for how much time was he in it for the first time? He was in there only for a second. So again he would go into the machine in the latter part of the story. So the first time he goes in it for a second. So why what could he do in that 1 second? He just went in, and that time was enough to just have one look of the person he had to take a photograph of. That was the narrator, and then he was out again. Means just took a look of it, and then he was out again. And after that he was out again of the machine, tearing the cotton sheet and the window panes with a hooked stick. Means he just had a look, he did not click a photograph, he just went into the machine, he had a look of the person, then he came out. What did he do after coming out? He just tore the cotton sheet that was there, means through which the sunlight was being filtered. This cotton sheet, he just teared it, and the window panes with a hooked stick, apparently frantic for light and air. So he was inside of the machine that was there, and the cotton sheet and the window panes, that all were there, in that were means on the outer covering of the machine, we can say. So he was having a hooked stick with he just cut all of it. He just, means we can say, he tore all of it, apparently, means quickly he just did all of it, frantic for light and air. Because inside the machine, once you go, you are completely covered by the surroundings. The things are there, like the cotton sheet, the window panes that are there. So when you go inside of it, you cannot have you are just, in the absence of light and air for some time. So when you come out, you need light and air quickly. So because it's difficult to breathe, we can say, when we once go inside. Then he crawled back into the machine again and drew a little black cloth over himself. So this is the second time he goes into the machine. So what does he do this time? Just go into the machine, and he drew a black cloth over him, a little black cloth over himself. This time he was very quick in there. I knew that he was praying, and I kept still. Means inside he was very quiet. So he was like properly observing, we can say, the person. He could have been like imagining how he can take a good picture. So these all things he might be thinking, we can say. And I knew that he was praying, and I kept still. So next is that when the photographer came out at last, he looked very grave and shook his head. Now when a photographer, they just they look at the camera, and they just want to take a picture of someone. If it's a good picture, we can say that the person, they would whosoever is taking the photograph, that person, they would be happy and happily show you the picture, that this is the picture that I have taken and it's very good. But on the other hand, if the picture, something in the picture they are not able to adjust properly, like the lighting is not properly or some other reason, we can say there might be, the person, they would have a grave look on their face. Such a grave face the photographer had when he went inside the camera, and he had a look of the person, and he shook his head. When in graveness and sadness we just shake our head, then the face is quite wrong. So what was the reason of his graveness? The reason of his graveness was because the photographer had felt that the face of the person that he was going to take the photograph was quite wrong. I know, I answered quietly, I have always known it. Now, this line is being said by the narrator of the story, who is saying that I know means, if you are saying to somebody that this is the problem that is there with your face, so the person, this person, like if you say to anyone, the person, obviously they would already know that what the problem is there with their face, because it is their face, they know their own problems. So similarly, in this way, this person is also saying that yeah, I know my problem, because it is like, he is saying that I always know it, means since the time I have been born, that person can say I always know it, because I means I have always been knowing it since the time I existed, I know about it. Then he sighed. He, over here, he is the photographer. Sad means he's a bit sad. So we can say his graveness, his sadness is about the thing, the face of the person that he's going to take the photographer is not good looking. Now, what all problems the photographer is going to state about the person? You need to know all these things, because these can be asked in the paper. So the first is that I think that the photographer is saying these lines, that the face would be better 3/4 full. So 3/4 full means it is the position and the angle for which the person's face would be during a photoshop, that we can say that would be desirable, we can say, during the photoshop, photograph that is going to be there. So that would be better 3/4 full. This is what the photographer wants to say. I'm sure it would, I said enthusiastically, for I was glad to find the man had such a human side to him. Now the person, he just he takes it in a positive way. If somebody says to you this, that the photograph, it would have been good if this thing would have been there in you. So now two perspectives the person can have. The first thing is that the person would take it in negative, that who is this person who is trying to mend me. On the other hand, the person can be there who takes it as a opportunity, as a, you can say, a compliment, so that they can improve themselves. There's a difference between that this person wants to mend me, and there's a difference between that this person wants to improve me. So over here, the narrator that is there, he has taken it in a positive way, and he's saying, I'm sure it would, I said enthusiastically, for I was glad to find that man had such a human side to him. So here the man is the photographer, and such a human side means such a concerned side, we can say. So would yours. In fact, I continued, how many faces one sees that are apparently hard, narrow, limited, but the minute you get them 3/4 full, they get wide, large, almost boundless. So over here, the man, he is saying that there are many, he's saying, he's complimenting the photographer who has told him that your face would look 3/4 full. The narrator, he says that if your face would also look 3/4 full, it would look better. And he just continues. Who continues? The narrator, he continues that how many faces means we see so many faces around us, and apparently they all are they all are improper. There, some are hard, some are narrow, so much limited, but the minute you get that your face the 3/4 full, they get wide, large, almost boundless. It means they get the perfect picture perfect look that is desirable for taking the pictures. It's like, just we can say, boundless, large, wide, and it just becomes beautiful. That is what the man wants to see. But the photographer had ceased to listen. Means he was he was not interested to listen, we can say. So he just ceased to listen. He has stopped to listen. He came over and took my head in his hands and twisted it sideways. Means he just came towards the narrator that is there, and took my head, means the narrator's head, in his hands. He just he just held the narrator's head, and the photographer twisted it sideways. So what thought the narrator had? The narrator had a thought that the person he meant to kiss me, means he felt like he just had a thought that the person he was going to kiss him, because he had held his head and turned it sideways. So it is the general way in the person that kisses. So that is why he just the narrator even felt like that the photographer is going to kiss him, so he just closed his eyes for it. But he was wrong. The narrator was wrong. The photographer was not going to kiss him. He twisted my face as far as it would go and then stood looking at it. Means the photographer that is there, he was just examining the man to see that how his photograph could be well taken, a good photograph can be taken. So he was just examining his model that was there perfectly in a proper way. So he just twisted his face, and as far as he could twist it, he just twisted it, and then he just kept on looking at it, and he sighed again. Means he was disappointed again, because again he had a thought in his mind. Who had a thought? The photographer had a thought that the man was not good looking. So he just said it that I don't like the head. So first he had said about the face that it would look he would look like 3/4 full. The face is not wrong. This is the first thing he had said. Now it comes the second thing, that I don't like the head. The photographer doesn't even like the head of the person. Then he went back to the machine and took another look. This is the third time that the photographer is going inside the machine to take a look. First time for a second he had again. Second time he just went quickly in it and just came out. That was the thing. And third time he just went inside again to have another look, because he didn't like the face, he didn't like the head. So he just wanted to see in which angle, in which way he could get a good photograph of this man who was not too much good looking. And opened the mouth a little, he said, I started to do so. Means the narrator, who was the customer, he was just doing as the photographer was saying. So as he had told him to come in, he told him to sit down, he was just following, and now the photographer has told him to open his mouth a little. So the man is following him. Close it, hear it quickly, because he might not have liked the way, so he just said, you just close your mouth quickly. Then he looked again. Means the photographer, he had a look at the person again. And now what is the third comment that he made about the physical appearance of the person? That was that the ears are bad. First was that the face, it would have been it was like the face is quite wrong. That was the first comment. Second was that that the photographer did not like the head of the man, and the third was that he did not even like, you can say, the mouth of the man. And then the next was that the ears are bad. So we can actually write this as the fourth one, as the mouth can also be considered as one, as he quickly told him to shut it up. So it was also like a disappointment for the photographer, so he just told the man to shut it up quickly. So next is the ears are bad. Means the ear of the person that even the photographer doesn't like. Droop them a little. Droop means reduce them a bit. So he just says that you need to reduce yours a bit. They are like a little bit too much big. Then thank you. Now the eyes, roll them in under the lids. Put the hands on the knees, please, and turn the face a little upward. Yes, that's better. Now just expand the lungs. So now roll them under the lids. It means that you need to do your eyelids a little, just over the eyes. You just try to do the lids little over your eyes. Then you just need to put your hands over your knees and just turn the face a little upward. It means just you don't tilt your face a little upward. And he says just, yeah, that's quite better than your previous pose. And now you just expand your lungs. Means you just sit straight. That is what he meant to say, that expand the lungs, just sit straight. So, and hump the neck. This is what next he says. Hump means you just straighten your neck, or we can say erect the neck. Then, and that's it. And just now you contract your waist and twist the hip up to the elbow. Now I still don't like the face. It's just a trifle too full, but Now all these things the photographer is saying so that he can get a good photograph of the person, because he's not able to like the face of the person, so he's just trying to make some other adjustments to take a good photograph in the body of the person. Like he's telling that you just put your hands on your knees, you just tilt your face a little upwards, you expand your lungs, you hum the neck, and just contract the waist, because he doesn't like the face of the person, so he just wants to make some adjustments in the body of the person. But at last he just says that I don't quite like the face, it's just a trifle too much. So trifle, it means something unquite, we can say. So the photographer that is there, he just positioned the man, the customer that is there, the narrator, according to his own wish, but he is still not satisfied with the adjustments that he has made, because he doesn't like the face of the person still, after being all the adjustments with the body of the person too. I swung myself on the stool. So the narrator here, it is the narrator, so the narrator, he just swings himself down on the stool. Stop, I said with emotion, but I think with dignity. So now, after all the mean comments that the photographer had made about the narrator's body, the narrator was finally just tired of hearing all of those comments, and now he was finally fed up, and he decided to tell the photographer to stop about it. So he said, "Stop. Who is the I in this sentence? The I over here is the narrator of the story, the main protagonist that is there." I said with emotion, because he was getting emotional because of the mean comments that he was getting about his body from a person whom he does not even know properly. But I think with dignity, means though he said stop with emotion in a we can say a high tone, but he said it with dignity. So dignity here means he said it with respect. This face is my face, it is not yours, it is mine. I have lived with it for 40 years. So from this line we get to know that the age of the man is 40 years, and I know its faults. Now the man, he is saying that this face that you are commenting about, it is my face, and that face is not yours, it is mine, and so you do not have any right to say anything about it, because the face is mine, and I have lived with it for 40 years, and I know its faults. Means I know the problems that are there with my face, and you do not need to tell me what the problems are there. I know it's out of drawing. He says, yeah, I know that there are problems with my face. It is out of drawing. It's not so attractive, but still, it is my face, and I know its faults. I know it wasn't made for me, but it's my face, the only one I have. Means he's saying, I know, like this wasn't made for me. Means again, he is just trying to say the same thing, that the face, it's not too much attractive, but he say, I can't do anything because it is my face. I cannot replace it. The only thing that I have. So he is just commenting on this thing only, that this is the only thing that I have, and I have to live with it, and you're no one to comment on my face. Those are the feelings that he wants to convey through this single piece of text. I was conscious of a break in my voice, but I went on. Means after saying all these lines, he was getting emotional, because such comments were being made about him. So he was conscious, means he was aware of the break that was there in his voice. Then, but still, he just went on, because he had other things to also say, such as, it is, I have learned to love it. Means it is the way it is, I have just learned to love it, and this is my mouth, not yours. As the photographer, he had also made comments on the mouth of the person. So he just told that this is my face and this is not your face, so you do not have any right to say anything about it. These ears are mine, and if your machine is too narrow, here I started to rise from my seat. So at this time, at the time when the photographer also commented about the ears of the person, that you need to droop them, means you need to reduce them. So the person he means to say that my ears, they are not too much like large, I do not need to reduce them, but your machine is too much narrow, so that is the problem with your machine and not with my ears or anything with me. So he was just finally fed up, and he had lost all of his patience, and he just started to rise from his seat, because he was going to leave from the photographer's studio. So snick. So why was the sound heard? The sound was heard because this is the sound in which the photograph had been taken by the photographer. So next thing that is there is that the photographer had pulled a string. Pulled a string means he had taken the photograph. The photograph taken. They have also stated this in the next line. I could see the machine still staggering from the shock. means staggering means shaking. Like as I told you that the old machines that were there, so how the photograph was taken in them, the photograph was taken when a string was pulled and after that the photograph was taken, and after it was done, the machine it used to shake a bit because of the shock that was there, after which the photograph was taken. I think, said the photographer, pursing his lips in a pleased smile. Now, the photographer, he is saying something after he has taken the picture, that I caught the features just in a moment of animation. Now, here, pursing means that he is like, folding his lips and he's just pleased. And why this pleased smile is there, because he thinks that he has got the photograph that he wanted, the perfect desirable photograph that he wanted. He feels like that he has taken that photograph, so that is why he's having this pleased smile after he has taken the photograph. That I caught the features just in a moment of animation means he had just caught the features of the body that were there of the protagonist in just the moment of animation. That is in the animation means movement, means when the features they were moving, as the person he was getting up from his seat, he was rising from his seat, at that time the photographer he had taken the photograph. So I said Friday bitingly, features are, you don't you didn't think I could animate them, I suppose, but let me see the picture. Now, the man that is there, he just said bitingly, means not in a, we can say, in a satisfied tone, we can say, because he's already too much disturbed from the photographer. So he's saying features, you mean to say my features, that because he's saying that the what thought that is coming into in his mind is that the photographer, he was early commenting in such a mean way about him, and now he's saying features, that you have got my features, the same ones that you were commenting just some time before, and you are saying that I couldn't animate them, suppose, means the features when they were on me, you mean to say that I couldn't get the perfect movement that you needed for your desirable photograph. But he says, okay, anyway, just let me see the picture that you have taken. And now the photographer, he doesn't let the person see the picture. Now what is the reason, we'll get to know. Oh, there's nothing to see yet, he said. I have to develop the negative first. He means to say that there are some negative parts, as he had already told so many beforehand only. So he says, I have to develop means I have to improve the negative part that is there. So he's saying there is nothing to see yet, because this is not the thing that the final product that I'm going to give to you. I just have to do some editing or development, we can say, in the basic language. And the photographer tells the customer to come back on Saturday and I'll let you see a proof of it, means I will uh, so over here the proof, it just basically means to say that he could have a photograph of it, a basic idea of the photograph, like a raw picture that the man is going to show to him. That would be the final product that he was going to give it to the customer, but he would show it to him on Saturday. So he tells the customer to come back on Saturday. So now the person, he just goes away, and he, when does he come back? He comes back on Saturday. So the line is that on Saturday I went back. The photographer beckoned me in. So beckoned means called me in. I thought he seemed quieter and graver than before. So earlier also we had studied that, you remember in the starting of the story we had said that he was like a grave man, and over here also now he looked quieter and graver. So graver, it means he looked even more serious than he was before. I think too there was a certain pride in his manner. Why this pride was there? Why this certain pride was there? This is the question that arises in your mind right now. This pride was there because you remember that earlier he had said that I have to develop the negative first. So he might have done some editing in the picture, and he had also taken the picture that he wanted to take, as that pleased smile was also there on his face after taking the picture. So this is certain pride was because of the perfect picture, the proper and the desirable picture that the photographer wanted. He might have just got that perfect picture. That is why he is having this certain pride in his manner. He unfolded the proof of a large photograph, and we both looked at it in silence. Now he just showed the customer a large photograph, a proof of a large photograph, and we. Now, who are we over here? The photographer and the man who has come to take in the photograph. They both looked at it in silence. Now, this silence can be different for both of them. If we talk from the perspective of the photographer, the silence would be there because he would have made such a beautiful photograph, such an attractive, such a desirable photograph that he wanted. So that is why he was just looking at it in silence, because he wanted to hear, we can say that he wanted to hear some praise for the great photograph that he had taken. And if we see from the perspective of the person, he might have the that silence because he would be shocked to see the photograph. Maybe it has turned out so much good, or on the other hand, there's something which he could not even imagine that has happened, and this is the actual thing that has happened. Let us read further and get to know what is this actual thing that has happened which made the customer so much silent. Is it me? I asked. Now he was too much shocked to see the photograph, so he just asked that, is it really me? Now this is me only. Then the photographer, he just, yes, he said quietly, it is you. And we went on looking at it. Means they both were still too much, no, the customer, he was still so much in shock. And both of them, they were still looking at the photograph only. The eyes, now the first feature which he wants to talk about is the eyes. So you should note it down that the eyes, I said hesitatingly, I don't look very much like mine. He says that, these eyes, if we look at, they are not like mine. They are not like my real eyes. So the photographer says, oh no, he answered, I have retouched them. Means he has done some kind of editing with them. They come out splendidly, don't they? So he says, yeah, the reason why you're feeling like this is because I've actually done some editing type of on it. I have just retouched them, and don't you think that they come out splendidly? And now the customer says, yeah, that's fine only. Fine, I said, but surely my eyebrows are not like that. Now the another unusual thing that the customer he feels like is that the eyebrows that were there in the picture, it didn't seem like his own eyebrows. So he just says to the photographer, he just asks that, but surely if you talk about now and if we see it properly, the eyebrows, they are just not mine. No, said the photographer with a momentary glance at my face. The eyebrows are removed. We have a process now, the Delphite, for putting in new ones. You'll notice here where we have applied it to carry the hair away from the bow. I don't like the hair low on the skull. Now, as the person that was there, he asked about that the eyebrows, it didn't look like him. Now the photographer, he just says something that is completely, we can say, uh, a shocking thing that is there, because he had just removed the eyebrows of the person and he had put the new ones instead of it. Means the eyebrows that were there in the picture, they were not there of the person of whom the picture had been taken. He had used a process called Delphide, through which the photographer, he had just edited and put in the photograph new eyebrows by removing the eyebrows, the original ones that were there of the person. That is the thing, that the real eyebrows of the person were not there in the picture, but another set of eyebrows were there which were just edited into the picture somehow by the process of Delphide. You'll notice where we have applied it to carry the hair away from the brow. Now this is the third thing we can say. You can note it down that there was some also they had done some editing in which they had carried the hair away from the brow. Means the hair which is there, they had carried it away from the eyebrows. And now why did the photographer do so? He did so because he just didn't like the hair that were there low on the skull. Means he didn't like the hair low on the forehead, we can say, because he didn't like them near the eyebrows. Then, oh, you don't you? Means he just we can the customer, he's just saying to the photographer that you don't like this, you just don't. And now the photographer says no. He went on, and now he's telling about the other things that he have done. I don't care for it. I like to get the hair clear back to the superficies and make out a new pro line. So now he's saying, yeah, I don't like it, the too much low over there. And I like to get it the hair back to the superficies. Superficies here means the face that is there. He likes to get it back to the face. Means we can say the outer lining of the face that is there, he likes to get it over there and make a new pro line. Then what about the mouth? Now, the fourth thing that they notice about is that the mouth that was there, even it had been just retouched in some way, I said with a bitterness that was lost on the photographer. Is that mine? He just, he confirmed once again that that mouth is mine only, because it didn't look like that it was his mouth, not the real mouth that he had. It just looked weird only. Now, another question arises is that why this bitterness was there? This bitterness was there because the photographer, he could not even expect that the photographer could do something like this, because he had come to take a photograph of himself, the real self that it was. In the first meeting only, the photographer had just said so many mean comments about the person, and at last when he had taken the photographs, the person, he might have might be having a hope inside him that he'll get a photograph of him that would have actually been looking like the real self that he was. But as he came to take the photograph back, he was just shocked to see the so many the changes that the photographer had made with his photo. As even the eyebrows were completely removed and new eyebrows were put in instead of them, by using the process sulfide. So this bitterness was there because he was not able to accept the fact that some man whom he did not even know properly had first of all made such comments about his physical body, and now even he had done adjustments. He had even changed so many things about his photograph that was there, that was lost on the photographer. That is that mine? That is what he asked. It's adjusted a little, he said. Yours is too low. I found I couldn't use it. Now you see the tone in the way the photographer is saying. He's saying, I just even adjusted the mouth a little because yours was too much low. Means again, he's just making his main comments only, that your mouth was too much low. So I found I couldn't use it. He's saying in a sense that he had to create something new only. The person had come with a hope to get a photograph of himself and not to make changes in himself. And the photographer is saying that I couldn't use it. So this is a very wrong statement, a very mean statement that the photographer is making. The ears, though I said strike me as a good likeness, they are just like mine. Now there's something which the man, he really feels like that it is of his own, that it is the real him. So, and what that thing is, those are the ears of him. Though the photographer, even he had made comments about the ears also in their first meeting, but he did not make any changes in that. So the man, he's saying that the ears, they just they strike me as a good likeness, means they seem good to me. Why they seem good to him? Because they were of his real self, or of the real body that he had. Then is it me? Is it me? Again, he was just confirming, because the things did not look like him. Now why the things did not look like him? The reason, the basic reason was because of the adjustments that the photographer had made in the photograph. Yes, said the photographer thoughtfully. Not so. But I can fix that all right in the print. We have a process now, the sulfide, for removing the ears entirely. I'll see if now the photographer still, he is not satisfied. He is again and again just making the comments about the man's body, and he is again saying that we have a process called sulfide, and even we can, in that process, we can just completely remove your ears, and they will do the further adjustments also. And he's saying, and all the other problems that are there, they can fix it in the print that is there. Now I can fix that all right in the print. What would he fix in the print? He would fix the ears of the man that were real, his real ears were only there in the picture, the proof that he was showing. Now he's saying that when I'll print this picture, I can even change the ears also, because of the process known as sulfide, in which I'll remove your ears entirely. Now, the point had come in which the customer that was there, the man, the protagonist, the narrator of the story, he could not anymore tolerate the things that the photographer was saying. So he finally just says to him what he really feels like. Listen, I interrupted, drawing myself up and animating my features to their full extent and speaking with a withering scorn that should have blasted the man on the spot. Now, why is he saying that animating my features? So you would have remembered that when in the first meeting, when it was about to end, at that time the photographer, he had said that I caught them when they were animating. This is the thing that the photographer has said, that I caught the features just in a moment of animation. Now, he is now the man, and we can say even he's saying in a sarcastic way that I just got myself up and animating my features to the full extent. The way the photographer he was saying. So at this time, now who is saying these lines? These lines are being said by the narrator of the story. So this line that is there specifically, it is being said sarcastically, we can say, and speaking with a withering scorn that could have blasted the man on the spot. Withering means disappointed, because he was disappointed for the man for saying such things about his body and doing such adjustments in it, and the photograph that was there. And so he said, I just sent with a disappointing scorn, means with a disappointed scorn means hatred, because he was having such a hatred from the person who had done such things with him. So he was saying in such, we can say, an angry or disappointed and a hatred tone, that because of that tone, the man, now which man is being talked about here? The photographer is being talked about here. So he's saying that I spoke with such a tone which would have blasted the man on the spot. Now let's hear this amazing, let's read this amazing piece of lines that are there, in which the man that is there, he's going to give a perfect reply to the photographer because of the behavior that he had done with him. Listen, I came here for a photograph, a picture, something which, mad though it seems, would have looked like me. Now he's saying that I came here to get a picture which just looked like me, which was his real self, the self that he was having in the human world. He wanted to get the photograph of that thing only, and I wanted something that would depict my face as heaven gave it to me, humble though the gift may have been. Means he said that I wanted my photograph to be with the face that heaven, means the face that God had given to me. I just wanted my photograph in that face, and no matter how much or bad it was, or in whichever way it was, no, maybe it would not be attractive or whatever it may be, but it was the face that God has given to me. I wanted something that my friends might keep after my death, to reconcile them to my loss. Means I wanted something that my friends, they could keep with them after I am gone, means after I am dead. I wanted something, that photograph that my friends could keep with them, to just reconcile with me, to just miss me. So that is the photograph that he wanted. So these are the reasons that he is stating why he needed the photograph. So you can note down the reasons, I'll also mark them. So he is saying that which would have looked like me, this was the first reason. Second is that the way heaven had given it to him, that humble though the gift may have been. Then the third reason is that something that his friends might keep after his death, to reconcile them on his loss. Next is that I seems that I was mistaken. What I wanted is no longer done. Go on then with your brutal work. Now, this is a very important line, we can say a very important phrase that is there, that go on with your brutal work. So, brutal here means merciless work. If we study about the first line that is there, that what I wanted is no longer done, because these were the things that for which he really wanted the photograph, but because of the adjustments, because of the editing and the special retouching effect that the photographer had done, the man, he did not get the thing that he really wanted. So that is why he said that what I wanted is no longer done. Now then he says, go on with your brutal work, means go on with your merciless work. Because why this work was merciless? Because the photographer, he was making the man feel low, he was disrespecting the man, because of his looks. So that is why he's saying, just go on with your brutal work. What his brutal work was, first of all, he made such mean comments about him. Moreover, he just took the photograph, and even after taking the photograph, he made such adjustments in which the photographer, he was not ready to show the real features that were there of the man. He was not ready to show it, because he said that he didn't found them good enough. That is why. So that is why he's saying that go on with your brutal work. Now this question can come in the exam, that what the brutal work was, so you have to explain it properly with the points that I have stated. Then take your negative or whatever it is, you call it Now, as he had said, now the photographer, he said that I need to, develop the negative first in the first meeting, or when it was coming to the end. And he has said that you cannot take this photograph right now because I have to, develop the negative. So now the man is saying that you just take your negative, means you keep these negative things that you're having, you keep your negativity with you only, just do not give it to me, or whatever it is, you know you call it, you dip it in sulfide, bromide, oxide, cowhide, anything you like. He's saying that as the photographer, he had stated about the processes that were there, like delphide or sulfide. Now he's just saying in the same tone, as the photographer has said. So this is a sarcastic statements, we can say, that he's saying, first was there that take your negative or whatever it is, you call it, you just dip it in sulfide, bromide, oxide, cowhide, anything you like. And like in the same way the photographer had told him about the adjustments he had made, now the man is also saying that, you just dip it, the photograph in anything and you like, and you just remove the eyes, correct the mouth, adjust the face, restore the lips, reanimate the necktie, and reconstruct the waistline. Means he's saying you just make all the improvements, all the adjustments you want to do, that's completely on your wish. You just, and then more he's saying that coat it in an inch of gloss. So over here, shade it, emboss it. Means he's, first of all, he's saying about that you dip it in something, whatever you like, and after that he's saying you just call it something, whatever you like, and then you just do all the improvements that you want to do, and after that you just coat it with an inch of gloss. You can shade it, you can emboss it. So emboss means bulging out, and guiled it. So guiled it means, decorate with something and till even you acknowledge that it is finished. Means you just keep on doing your brutal work till the time you just feel satisfied. You just do it, and then what does he say later? It's a, the line is that then when you have done all that, means when you're just completely satisfied, you get the desired result you want, keep it for yourself and your friends. Means he's saying that you, all the things that you want to do, just do it for yourself and your friends. Because why? Because they may value it. Because he says that all those adjustments that are there, all that fake beauty, all the attractive, all the desirable things, they only value it. To me, it is but a worthless bauble. So bauble means a thing that is of no use. Now what the man wants to say is that he does not need any improvement, because he needed the photograph, as he had stated the reasons before also. He needed something that actually looked like him, and he did not wanted something with the actual attractive features, but he needed something that was just him. But the photographer, he did not give him the desired results. So that is why what the man, he just suggested to the photographer was that he do all the improvements and the adjustments you want, and you just keep it for entertainment of your and your friends, and it is just completely useless to me. That is what he has said in the last line. That is, to me, it is but a worthless bauble, which means a thing of no use. I broke into tears and left. Now why did he broke into tears and left? He broke into tears and left because he was just too much shocked from the treatment that he had got just because of his looks. That is why. And this line, even in this line, you can write a basic summary of the story that was there, as in the starting about the comments that were made on the man, and after that how the photographer had done the adjustments about him. So that is why it was a complete waste of money, we can say, complete waste of time, a complete waste of resources. So now what the basic theme we get to know from the story is that appearances can be deceptive, and the theme can also be that appearance versus reality.